What time is it? It's journey time. Time for another creative journey using Stampin' Up! Products. Hello, my name is Kathy Haynes, and today we're going to make this Easter card using a technique using Stampin' Up's Vellum paper, and it's actually Vellum cardstock. And let me get a piece out for you. And our stamping blends. So this is a watercolor effect background, and to do this you'll also need isopropyl alcohol 91%, and I found this at Stater Brothers, so the grocery store, in the first aid department, so with all the other alcohols and witch hazel and stuff. So this is a pretty simple card, has a good meaning behind it though. I stamped on here Hallelujah, but I also want to show you, because Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell that stamp. That's just a generic stamp I had in my stash. But when you're using the many messages, which I did a video on this a couple of months ago, you get all these sentiments, and then you cut them all out with one die, which is really great. But another great thing is you can use it to cut out, I'll call them blanks. So here I did a bunch in Rococo Rose. I'm going to be using, I ran it through on Seaside Spray. So see how we're doing the layer? And then you do it on white, on the basic white, and then you can stamp your own sentiments. So it's not just the sentiments that come in the stamp set. You're also die cutting. Here's all the sentiments that come in the stamp set. But if you did them on just white, you have all these different shapes to stamp your own sentiment on, so that makes it even more of a value. So we're going to go ahead and get started on this. I'm going to place a piece of white behind here so you guys can see what I'm doing. But to start out with, you're going to need isopropyl alcohol, which I just said, and then unless you have time, I would suggest using a heat gun because it does get wet. And then you need either a stipple brush or just a cheap stiff brush. And what you're going to do is you're going to choose your colors, and I'm going to show you how to do it, and then I'll show you some options. So I'm just going to, and it's just random, just put some color down. And again, this is just random. And then next to that, I'm going to use the seed. That was Rococo Rose, the dark color. And even though you can't see it, this is going to make a difference. I'm going to put some Seaside Spray. And then I'm going to put just a touch of Highland Heather. So the fun of this is that you get to play with all your colors and decide what worked for you and what you liked. So right now it looks kind of a mess, but I'm going to go ahead and pour some isopropyl alcohol into, so this kind of poured everywhere, but I just pick some up, tap it off, you don't want it too wet, and you're just going to start tapping. Now every time you do this, it's going to come out a little bit different, so this may not even look like my first one. Sorry for the tapping sound. Get all the areas. Isn't that beautiful? It just, can you see that? So once you're happy with it, you can go ahead and let it air dry, and or you can heat it up. So I'm going to go ahead and heat it up. Kind of from afar because I want to keep, I like how it turned out. And alcohol dries pretty quick, so you're done in just a couple of minutes. You know, a couple of seconds. You have to do it for long. Now, if I wanted to add more color, I could simply say, well, I need more blue in here. So I could go back and add more blue. Okay. And then I could go back and add more alcohol and change it up. And you just keep doing it until you're happy with it. Isn't that beautiful? And so that is the watercolor or the alcohol technique using the blends, because the blends are alcohol based. So that's why that works that way. And then it depends on what color you put it on as to what color it will look like. So here is a piece of Rococo Rose. So if I put that underneath it, that's the effect that I would get. All right, but if I put it on white, which I'm going to do, it gets that effect. Now, I used other colors, so I just want to show you. This was, I think, pumpkin pie, crushed curry, and granny apple green. And see how pretty that is? Now, what I did on this one was I added a couple of dots of the champagne mist. So I took the back of this, dipped it in there, and after I did my coloring, I put some dots of the shimmer in there, and then did the alcohol technique. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but it adds a shimmer to it. So that's another thing that you can do with the vellum. Now, I haven't tried it because I didn't have a different vellum, but the Stampin' Up! Cardstock vellum, it works great on. However, on some cheaper vellum, technique does not work as good. And so this is the color you get on white, but if you put it another color, you get a different effect. So this is just a lot of fun. I love this technique. So that is the hard part of this story. And now let's get busy assembling our card. So the next thing we want to do is take I have everything already cut out. We're going to take the white. So we have white cardstock. All the dimensions will be listed below. And we're going to isn't that just gorgeous? And we're going to put that together. So to do on vellum, you know, the glue shows through sometimes, but I really found if you use the fine tip glue pen from Stampin' Up! And just did a fine line. I have a glob there that might show, but let me wipe some of that off. And this is how I put it back on. I just push it on my finger. Can't see back here. Oops. And it's really easy if you do it right. There we go. All right. Too bad I don't know how to edit. I would edit that out. So close it up really fast. And then I am going to wipe off here's some more pieces I made out of so I'm just going to wipe off some of that because that seemed like a lot. And turn it over and line it right up. There is vellum tape out there that you can buy at a craft store. But if you can see this, I think it's just perfect. It doesn't show at all. So I really recommend using the fine tip glue pen to put your vellum on cardstock. Okay, so let's look at that card one more time. Where'd you go, card? And we're going to start to build it. Okay, so we're going to start building the cross. And I've taken the ombre designer series paper, the 6x6 that came, you got it for free in the Celebration catalog, and I've run it through the pine wood planks, the Stampin' Up! Pine wood planks folder, and then I've cut it in 5/8 strips. And now I'm just going to lay it on here and determine how long I want my pieces, and cut it. So I think right about here. And then I'll need to do the cross over here. So I'm saying right about there. And that's how simple this is. All right, now I'm going to pop up using pop dots. I'm going to pop up my cross. Here's the original. Let me grab my what do you call them? Dimensionals. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? They were right here. Okay, hold on one second. I'm going to go grab my dimensionals again. Meanwhile, take a look at this. Isn't that beautiful? And go ahead, sip your coffee. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead using the dimensionals. We're which are here on my desk somewhere. I hope that's not making a crackling sound. Sorry, guys. I'm going to use some little dimensionals on the back of this. You could just use one big one, but I'm going to use 4 little ones to kind of give it more of an area. Okay, so I'm putting the dimensionals on the wrong piece. There we go. 1, 2, and then let's just do 3. All right, I'm going to put that on the back, and I'm going to create my cross. There we go. All right, now the other thing we need to do, and probably should have done first, is we need to sponge this a little bit. So I am going to take my dauber, and using, I don't have the Rococo Rose stamp pad, so I'm going to use the Flirty Flamingo. Bend that up, and I want to, and again, I should have done this ahead of time probably. Go ahead and sponge all the edges, and the more you put on there, you can see the wood grain shows real well, and that's what I like about it. And this really will make it pop. All right. Now the other thing I did on mine is I bent this back and I highlighted here a little bit more because that's going to show the kind of the shadow of the cross. So get that in there. There we go. A little bit more in there. All right. Smooth that out. Now we're going to turn, I'm going to put this aside. We're going to turn our cross over because what we want to do is we want to pop up the cross, but we also have to add our ribbon here to look like the cloth that was left on the cross. So to do that, how I did it was I put a pop dot or a dimensional here and a dimensional there. All right, and then you're going to need dimensionals. I guess that's enough. And then I took my piece of ribbon, and I'm using the Snowflake Splendor ribbon. So even though it was made for a holiday, it still can use this throughout the year. It's beautiful. And what I want to do is I want to pin down the middle right there with a glue dot. So I'm going to take a glue dot, I'm going to fold this in half, and then I'm going to take a glue dot, whether you have big glue dots or mini glue dots from Stampin' Up, and I'm going to put a glue dot right on there. Okay, kind of use a bigger one, roll it over so it doesn't hang off, and I'm going to put that right down there on the bottom. Then I'm going to wrap these both up to the top, so they're going to fold up like that, tip it over, and I'm going to stick this right where, so make sure you got it, roll it over and stick that on that pop dot. And then I'm going to take this one, roll it up, turn it over, and stick it right on that dimensional. Okay. And then on this side, I'm just going to cut off where, however long I think it should be, in whatever direction you think it should go. So there we go. Now the next thing I wanted to do is I put a dimensional right here in the middle. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to put, that's why I started to put more dimensionals and stopped. I didn't know what I was doing. I just thought I didn't. And put another dimensional right there. And one right there, just so it will pop up. And then I'm going to run, you can either run liquid tape or tape runner down your cross, and then we're simply going to adhere onto the card. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so what do you think so far? Now we're going to use, using pop dots, we're going to pop this up. So I'm going to use, because I couldn't find my big ones and that on my desk, I'm just going to use small ones for this one, but I would say use your larger dimensionals. And we're going to attach this to the Seaside Spray. All right, and I lied to you. Take those off, because we're just going to attach this straight to our Seaside Spray piece. You could pop it up if you wanted to. I'm just trying to do exactly what I did, because if it's not broke, don't fix it, you know. And then we're going to go ahead and add dimensionals to the back of the blue piece of this Seaside Spray. So let's go ahead and add glue dots, add dimensionals. Still looking for my large ones. I just placed an order to get all the tools I need for in this part of my scrap shack, so that I'm not always forgetting to bring something over before a video. I'll have a second set of everything here. So you want to lay odds on if that's going to work. And then I've cut out a piece of cardstock of the Rococo Rose, which is retiring, and we're going to lay that right there. Okay, see how simple that was? And so the whole technique is basically what you do behind it. And you can, it's just amazing. You can have fun with color, and you'd be surprised how it turns out. Now we've popped that up, we're going to put it on our base. I've already got this ready. Again, all the dimensionals, all the dimensions will be listed below. Right there, line it up real well, and place it down. Now the only thing we need to do is put our sentiment. So here's the blank piece that you could use and stamp whatever sentiment you want on it. I've already done one and stamped it with Hallelujah. So let me grab my back piece, and again I cut these out of the mini messages. So that's my back piece and that's my front piece. I thought it was a good idea to sponge a little bit of color in here of both colors, because it kind of brought in the multicolor. So that's the Rococo, the Flirty Flamingo, because I don't have Rococo Rose, and then also some Seaside Spray. I think I'll put on there. So it just gives it a little bit of color. All right, it's hard to see it, but that way it's multiple colors like the back. I'm going to go ahead and pop this one up. And there we go. And then what I want to do is pop it up only on one side, because the cross is already there and I don't want it uneven. So I'm going to put a couple of minis. One big would have worked. Okay. Note to self. And I'm going to put that right there. My card is complete. So what do you think of that? Isn't that fun and easy and a great Easter card? Put whatever sentiment you want on the inside. So that is our creative journey for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell below. There will also be a link to my website where you can purchase this and all Stampin' Up! Products. And other than that, we will see you on our next creative journey. Have a great day.